I want to conclude this first part of our study by asking you the question. In what ways is fear driving your actions, your thinking, your speech? What ways, or in what ways is fear driving the same of those around you? And how are these fears converging in your house of worship, your church, your community of faith? Look at the pockets of tension in your church, in your community of faith. Why are people fighting? What does it have to do with? I would suggest it's probably centered around the issue of fear in some ways. Somebody fears that they're going to have to lose out. Somebody fears that they're going to have to change. Somebody fears that they're going to have to go without. Somebody fears that somehow maybe even they're going to ask more of me if we do something different. Fears, fears, fears. Somebody fears that I'm just not adequate. I'm not as educated. I'm not as Bible literate as these other members are. And so I'm fearful to even offer an expression, offer an opinion, even in Bible study. Some people fear that I don't pray eloquently enough, and so I don't want to get up in front of the gathered. I'm saying fear manifests itself in a lot of ways, and it drives us crazy. As a mentor and as one that has been successful in mentoring others, especially young persons, it has often driven me crazy when I have been blessed to interact with a person that has immense potential, but they're fearful of allowing themselves to tap into their own potential. And sometimes we've gotten to the bottom of it to realize that they're fearful of success. Sometimes they're fearful of success because I don't know if I can sustain success on my own. They're fearful of success sometimes because I don't know if this is really what I want to do. It's happened so fast that I don't even... I'm saying fear manifests itself in many ways. And when you get fearful spirits, fearful elements at work in our churches and communities of faith, it can cause tension. It can drive folk crazy. I'm suggesting it begins with us. We have to throw off fear. We have to remind ourselves that God has not given us spirits of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. We have to throw off fear that allows us to, excuse me, we have to throw off fear that allows us to become complacent rather than moving forward, rather than advancing. We have to throw off the fear that would make us react in negative ways towards our sisters and brothers. We've got to throw off fear of the unknown. Just because I don't know what to expect, I'm fearful of going on with it. Well, thank God for the World Wide Web, and these days you can research almost any subject that you need to know about. And then there comes such a thing as faith. Fear cannot live where faith is supposed to reside. We are people of faith as Christian believers. And so we must not allow fear to reside in our members. And by members, I mean our personal members of mind, bodies, and spirits, as well as within the gathered community. Well, God bless you. Thank you for joining us in the first part of our study. I invite you to pray about how fear may be affecting your life, and then seek God's help concerning how to rework that fear, how to get rid of that fear, how to look at that fearful situation in different ways that will bring life rather than death to you, and then how to present yourself in your community of faith, in which ways that you can bring life to your community of faith rather than death through the element of fear. Thank you for joining us in our study. I want to remind you to go out and pick up a copy of the Gospel of Judas, the Lost Gospel of Judas, which we'll be presenting in a 3-part series at the conclusion of our present series. This gospel is fascinating in ways in which it contrasts with the 4 Christian Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Fascinating to me because it gives an additional picture of how some Christians viewed the life of Christ, viewed the salvific work of Christ, viewed many different ways or many different things about the Christian religions in general. So I invite you to pick up a copy. We'll begin that study the first week in May. Until then, make sure you log on to www.acartervincent.com and visit our daily and weekly sites there. God bless you. I'll see you next week.